What's poppin', everybody? It's the mother kid Schmitty, and I'm back in this John. Hey, man. So look, y'all, I've been gone for a couple days, a week, just because I did not have any more storage on my computer left. So I had to order an external SSD, some more storage to upload these videos. They take up a lot of space, but we're finally back to another reaction video to the follow-up of a previous video that I reacted to. So if you guys didn't see that video, go check it out for yourselves. I'll link it down below in the description for y'all to check out before this video. So if you guys want to watch, it'll make more sense if you guys watch the previous video that I made on this, and then it'll completely make sense. But if it's your first time watching this video, you can completely, you know, follow along and see how he conducts this internal affairs complaint against Connecticut State Police Sergeant Bryan Fahey. And before we get started, y'all, I want to say thank you for watching the previous video. And I saw y'all guys' comments about me talking too much over the video, but you guys have to understand that the video is already 40 minutes long. If I paused for every reaction and everything I wanted to say, it would be over an hour, and people don't have time to watch an hour-long reaction video. You know, they might as well just watch the regular video. So with that being said, appreciate the comments. I'm going to take it into consideration, but in the meantime, I'll pause here and there, but for the most part, I'll try to lower the video or some and then just talk over it. So you guys can just check out the original video down below in the description. If you guys don't want to hear me talk, react to it, just a plain old video, go check that out below. Okay, so you guys can stop commenting that. I'm going to keep on talking over it regardless. But my rant's over, y'all. Let's go check it out.
Walking around.
Oh, no, this point, not this. Okay.
Alright, shout out Long Island Audit, man. He's a legend, man. Actually, hold on. Let me pause it one more time before we get started, man. Long Island Audit is one of the only, or maybe the few, First Amendment audit people that I watch that actually does follow-ups, right? Most of the people just do videos and, you know, they just keep it pushing, you know, that, you know, they'll, you know, get a charge or trespassing towards them and they won't fight it. You know, they won't take it to court, which most of the time it's not really worth it. You know, you'll be paying more in lawyer fees and all that. But I appreciate what Long Island Audit does.
Long Island Audit here.
What Sean
Back
does.
again with another video.
And
Today
actually follows up with,
State
you know,
Police
his videos.
Office of Professional Standards. We are here today, as always, to peacefully exercise our First Amendment right to film in public and publicly accessible areas, to promote transparency and accountability within our government, and to ensure that our public servants recognize our rights and treat us with respect. So we are here today at the Office of Professional Standards, which is this building over here. For those of you that remember, we were already here almost 2 years ago to file a complaint against Sergeant Bryan Fahey, and that's exactly what we're doing here today. So
video.
Let's get into it.
Did he get 5 days suspension or something?
How
Or
are
a
you,
week?
sir?
I forget exactly. It's been so long.
Captain Ginoli?
Yes. Giannone.
Giannone,
Yeah,
excuse me.
D'Angelo. How you doing?
Sergeant D'Angelo,
Good to meet
nice
you.
to meet you.
What's your name?
My name is Sean.
Sean?
Yeah.
Okay. How may we help you today?
So I'm here to file a complaint and give a statement on, I'm not sure if you're familiar. I'm an independent journalist. I went to go to the Connecticut State headquarters to file a FOIA request for some documentation, excuse me. And while doing that, I came in contact with Sergeant Bryan Fahey,
Yes,
who I
I'm
have
aware of that.
I have a history of. There's a history there of almost 2 years ago. Sergeant Bryan Fahey, I spoke to your office before, and apparently after he broke my cell phone and assaulted me, the report was that he was, you know, found that he thought my camera was a weapon of some sort, and that's why he
That's crazy.
grabbed it and threw it from my hand. And I just want to make it very clear that this is a camera. This is not a taser. This is not a firearm of any sort. So just in case we had any
Bro, I can't believe he thought it was a fire. Bro, that's gotta be so cap, man. And like I said previous video, it's just so crazy how cops investigate cops, you know? It's like, bro, make it make sense. Like,
just in case there was any discrepancies there, this is not a weapon of any kind.
most of the time they just dismiss it.
But yeah, so I'm here to just give a statement on what happened. The event occurred on June 16th.
Absolutely.
Bro, they either dismiss it or just they give him, oh, a week of suspension, no pay, oh, boo-hoo. And even if they do, you know, get removed from you know, that department, they'll just move over to the next city and they'll get accepted, right? So it's just like, bro, where does it end? Where does the line? It's just
What we can do is
so many questions, man, and just
you can either write it yourself, or we'll help you write it, or we'll write it. However you prefer, it's your choice, and we'll get that done. And once you're okay with everything that's in there, we'll both sign it, and you could submit it to us, and we'll continue with the investigation from there.
Okay.
Fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. All right. So if you just give us a moment, we'll get
Sure.
the paperwork.
Thank you.
We'll be right out.
All right. Thank you so
Prefer
much.
to do it yourself, or would you rather?
I would rather just give a statement to you two, and you could just write down the pertinent
very good.
details and
That's
important details. All right. Thank you.
Sorry about that, Sean. I'm just grabbing the paperwork.
It's
We're gonna
okay.
do it out here because we have a couple interviews going on in our conference room, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So,
Not a problem.
we could either do it at the table, we could do it wherever you want, somewhere else.
One of the cars,
This is Lieutenant,
whatever's
That's fine. Yeah, we could.
this is
Wherever.
Lieutenant Swift, by the way.
Lieutenant Swift. Nice to meet you.
Sean Reyes.
Yes.
So I understand you mentioned that you guys had some history. You had some history with Sergeant Fahey.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago, I was at this very building before, and I spoke to Sergeant Andrea,
Okay.
and I
O'Donnell,
forgot the,
maybe?
Yeah, I believe, and we had the same type of interview here before, and I submitted a complaint against him. I believe that incident took place on July 21st, 2021.
Okay. This most. What's that? Yeah. So this happened, the most recent incident. When was that?
June 16th at approximately 3 p.m.
6/16/2023 at about 3 p.m. Today is the 28th of June, 23. It's 11:02. And this happened, the incident happened, the most recent one at State Police Headquarters, right?
At State Police Headquarters, that's correct.
Can you spell your first name for me?
My first name is Seanpaul, one word, Sean Paul.
Sean Paul Reyes.
R-E-Y-E-S, right?
That's correct.
Would you mind giving me your date of birth? You mentioned your independent journalist. That's your.
Yes. My company's name is Long Island Audit, Inc.
As far as the video footage, if I give you an email address, would you be willing to email it to
Yes.
us? I'll do that. I'll do that for you. Okay. Take me through it as far as what happened.
Yeah. So I arrived and I was confronted by a trooper, Kioi, badge 854, and she had said that I was making people uncomfortable by recording, and
Were you outside or inside?
I was outside at this point, and she had asked me to
Oh, it was a
leave.
beep?
I told
Yo.
her I was outside at this point, and
almost smacked
she
my
had
screen. I
asked
thought that
me
beep was
to
on my
leave.
screen.
I told her that I had a right to record, and it was public property.
Okay.
And she continued to. We had an exchange, a back and forth of. She said I could be possibly breaching the peace by making people uncomfortable. I informed her breach of peace has to come with an active threat of violence, as per Connecticut Supreme Court. And
Yo, if y'all didn't check out that video, man, go check it out, man. Link down below in the description. It's crazy, man, what she was doing, man.
And yeah, she had at the end of that exchange, she had just walked away and said, "You know what? You could stay here," and went back inside.
Okay.
So that's the first part.
So just to summarize, so you're outside recording.
Yes.
So while outside in the parking lot area? Or
Yes, parking lot area recording.
Parking lots. And I'll read this back to you. Obviously,
Sure,
before
yeah.
We're done, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Don't they usually record it too, or shouldn't they have it recorded just in case?
Recording.
Boy's gonna be writing a whole.
You were approached by
Couple
Trooper
pages.
Keolik 854.
Yeah.
I was approached.
I guess you kind of have to write it down just so it's
She mentioned to you that you were making people uncomfortable when she asked you to leave. Is that correct?
Yes.
uncomfortable in the parking
She
lot.
advised me that I was making
Never heard of that in my life.
people uncomfortable
In the public parking lot, making people uncomfortable.
and instructed you to leave.
Asked me to leave.
Asked you to leave.
Because we made it in the conversation, she made it clear that she was only asking me to leave. She wasn't ordering me or anything like that. She acknowledged that we were on public property and that I had a right to be there.
Okay. So she only asked you to leave. She wasn't ordering you to leave.
Yep.
You part ways. She says, you know what, just fine. You're fine to stay, and she goes back inside.
Correct.
She eventually advised me that it was okay to stay.
Yeah.
And she went back inside.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the first segment, so to speak.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, then take.
And I'd just like to note that, you know, I felt, you'll see the video, but I felt that she was very unprofessional towards me, in her demeanor and the way she was speaking to me.
I'm gonna put that in here too.
Yep.
I felt that her demeanor was unprofessional. Toward me.
Yep.
Anything else about that segment?
That's it.
Okay. Let's move on to the second, again,
Yeah.
area, I guess, of concern.
Yeah. So I walked to the front of the building, and I waited in line. There was a line in order to get inside the building. So I waited in line, and the trooper, Keo, same trooper, she opened the door and asked if the person behind me needed any assistance. And
That was crazy.
Came to the door.
yeah.
He was first in line, but they let the second person behind him go in front of him, which was crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's nutty.
Passed over me and asked. That person, was it a man, woman? Do you recall?
It was a male.
And asked the next male person waiting
Male person.
behind
Just put
me
next male behind him.
if he needed assistance.
I then told her that I needed assistance, that I was trying to file a FOIA request.
And then advised her that I needed assistance with filing a FOIA request. Okay.
It was at that time that I saw Sergeant Bryan Fahey in the background. He was inside the building, so she had the door open. I saw him in the background in the lobby area, and he waved at me.
I saw Sergeant Bryan
Bro, they might as well take a look at the video right there with him, man.
inside the building in the lobby. He waved at you, he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
He then came to the. I'm trying to be concise here, but I am trying to be concise here. Also,
about to say, he's gonna be writing for
because we do
days.
have the
Just take a look at the video.
The
it's
video
easier.
does speak for itself, but so I'm just trying to get the main points. He then came to the door and asked the man behind me too if he needed assistance and what can he help me with. I believe that a man needed help with pistol permits, and the man went in front of me and entered the building.
Should put in. He was completely, they avoided him at all costs.
The man.
He passed.
ahead of you.
Yeah, he skipped ahead of me. I'm still standing in the doorway at this point.
Me and entered the building. Okay.
Sergeant Fahey said that I had no business here. Because I basically said, what about me? Like, I have business to conduct. He says, you have no business here. Okay. And then he proceeded to violently close the door on my foot was inside of, like, I was standing in the door. So then he, two hands, started pulling the door violently on my leg to close the door. But since my leg was in the doorway, it wouldn't close.
Okay. Sergeant Fahey told me I had no business there and proceeded to violently
This dude's getting to the bottom of the page.
My foot and leg were still in the door, preventing it from closing?
That's correct.
No, that's a separate area. We'll do it again. My foot and leg were still in the door, preventing it from closing. Were you injured at all?
No.
I was not injured. Okay.
It did hurt though.
Okay. But it did hurt.
I was not
You didn't
injured.
seek any medical treatment?
I did not seek any.
Anything like that?
I did not seek any medical treatment. No.
Did hurt. I did not seek any medical treatment. All right, moving on. Sorry, what do we got next?
Yeah. So he basically violently tries to close the door. At this whole time I'm recording, and Trooper Kyoe, she's kind of behind him with her body camera on. He then goes and grabs my camera and turns it off. I rip it from we kind of held my camera just like I'm holding it now at the same time, and he tried to take it from me. At least that's, how I felt.
So he took possession of the camera? Or no?
He didn't.
So
He attempted to take possession of the camera is what I would assume. He attempted to take possession of my camera. I pulled the camera away from him as he tried to grab it, and in that process the camera was turned off by him.
My camera was I'll read this back to you in 1 second.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
Pulled away.
So can someone let me know, like, do they have to take like a written statement, or is it like preferred, or they have to? Because this seems a little complex. Like, he's like, I feel like it would have been easier just to obviously that he's gonna send them the link of the video, but
Okay. Sergeant Fahey then attempted to take possession of my
I feel like
camera.
recording it would be easier.
Unsuccessful. I pulled away, and at some point during this, the camera was turned off.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Okay. What follows?
So at this point he goes face to face with me. I told him I'm not scared of you, because again, referencing the 2 years ago where he did this almost the same exact thing, except I would say a lot worse.
A lot worse.
I told him I wasn't scared of him, and he got in my face, and I was like, you want to assault me? I forget exactly the exchange, but we became face to face. He had gotten right into my face, and it was an exchange of some sort. I don't recall. Again, I don't have the video footage because at this point the camera was off, but it should be on the body camera footage of the trooper.
Hmm.
I wasn't worried about my phone at this point. I was more worried about my safety. I didn't worry about my phone being turned back on immediately. I was more worried about the armed man in front of me that was clearly unhinged. And if you could just make it clear somewhere in there, turning off my camera is not only a violation of my First Amendment right, but Connecticut state law that was passed for law enforcement interfering with recording.
There he goes.
I'll read all this back to you.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Turning off my camera.
Gotta start saying the law. Once you start saying the law, then it's like, dang, like, they start panicking, like, okay, this guy knows his stuff, like, but even then, like, they always find a way to get away. It's just crazy, because again, for us people in the private sector, none of that he's even sliding. Not even 10% of what this dude's doing would have slid.
It recently passed.
Would have been fired.
What did you describe it as? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I don't know the actual name. It was Connecticut state law. I believe it's Accountability Act. I think that's what it is.
Okay. Recently passed a law regarding police accountability.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm just gonna go back and just so we're all kind of abreast here.
Sure.
I told him that I was not scared of him and had interacted with him during a previous incident years ago that was worse than this. My biggest concern was for my safety at this point. turning off my camera was not only a violation of my First Amendment right, but also of the recently passed law regarding police accountability.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. What follows?
And then, so the door was, he eventually closed the door. Him and the trooper were inside. I turned on my recording again, my camera, and I began recording.
Okay.
There was another, just to be clear, there was another, when this whole interaction was happening, there was an unidentified trooper. He wouldn't identify himself to me. He's in the video, though. There was another trooper standing behind me as this was all taking place.
Okay. Okay. Another trooper whom wouldn't identify
I
himself.
low-key forgot about that, but yeah.
Several times.
There was a trooper behind him that came in to the door.
He was standing behind you during this exchange.
Yes,
Forgot
during
about
that.
that.
Okay.
Eventually, legal, I believe, Connecticut State Police, the legal department got involved, and they came and Trooper Keough allowed me inside of the building, and I spoke with Connecticut State Police legal department, and they gave me the information I needed in order to file my FOIA request.
That boy hands cramping up.
Okay, so the legal department became involved. Trooper Keough let you or brought you inside the building. At that time, you filed your FOIA request with the legal.
Yeah, I also explained to them that I explained to them the situation, that I was assaulted and my property was and Sergeant Fahey tried to take my property from me, and I wanted to file a FOIA request, and they helped me with that.
Did you file it there, or did they just
They gave me I didn't file it there. We talked about Sergeant Bryan Fahey's the interaction, how he assaulted me and tried to take my camera from me, and then they gave me the information I needed in order, an email address to file the FOIA request.
Okay.
But shouldn't you be able to do a FOIA request in person though? Like,
Let's see.
I know they are trying to send people online since, you know, technology era, but you should still be able to do it in person. If
Let's say at that time.
you never know, people might not have internet, you know, no close libraries nearby.
There's
I feel like you should be able to do it in person, no? Like,
they provide you with an email address and instructions on how to file that request.
That's correct.
just like print the online version. They should have an online version just printed and like up against the wall so you can just fill it out for yourself. Instead of having to do all this stuff online. Which obviously many people have access to, but you know, not everyone, so you gotta include everybody, the public.
Your concerns that we already discussed above with
Yeah.
the legal affairs folks. I also, just to summarize it, I'm going to say, if it's okay with you, I'm going to say I also voiced my concerns regarding the previous mentioned matters with them. If that's okay.
That's
So I
okay.
know where to
That's
differ.
fine.
Bro, doing all that writing, man, just there's gotta be an easier way. I guess not. I mean, since they're doing that, but because I've seen in his previous videos, like he's done like recordings, like people would just record and take like subtle notes, not like that, not right like.
Anything else
But
after that?
I could be mistaken.
Sergeant Fahey did come out again. I don't know where he was, but he came out to the public lobby because after I spoke with legal, I started to take some pictures and video inside the lobby of different artifacts you guys have there, different you know, posters and things of that nature, and he was very upset that I didn't leave immediately after that was over, and he was voicing that to legal department.
Sergeant Fahey came out to the lobby again while I was taking some photos and video of various memorabilia.
Yeah.
You mentioned he was upset.
Yeah, he was upset with that. He was upset that I was still in the building.
He was upset that I hadn't left the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
I told him, and then I think this is important
So
to include.
there was an additional
There was this is the additional interaction. Before he went upstairs, I told him He was about to go into into a stairwell. I told him, you wouldn't have assaulted me without that gun and badge on.
Okay.
And he came back.
A stairwell.
He's about to dip, and he said that, and this dude came back.
I told
Hopefully he says it.
you wouldn't have assaulted
The dude said you wouldn't do that
me without
with your camera off or something like that. I forget the exact.
a badge on. Okay.
He comes, the door had closed at this point. He comes back out after I said that,
Okay, he's saying
and says, you wouldn't have done this without your camera.
Okay, so he came back out of the stairwell.
Yeah, you wouldn't have done it without your camera. I don't know what I did, but other than record, I guess I wouldn't record without my camera. But he says you wouldn't have done this without your camera.
You wouldn't have done this without your camera. Okay.
And then he left. I told this is the last part of it. I went to Trooper Kioy and I told her, did you not just see him? I basically brought up my concerns of the assault to her and why she didn't act on it, and she said that it was a back and forth between us, and she wasn't going to do anything apparently.
Of course not.
Okay. I approached Trooper Kioy.
But if it was the other way around, you know, boy would have been on the ground, handcuffed, beaten up, stomped
Yep.
on.
Yep.
Assaulted by Sergeant Fahey. And she mentioned that she saw there was a back and forth
Yeah.
between.
And she wasn't going to do anything.
She replied that there was a back and forth between us. We'll say between he and I.
Mm-hmm.
And
My hand just hurts looking at that, man. He wrote a front and back and probably decently sized font because it was a pretty long
At that
story.
point, I just left, and that was it. That concluded. I didn't run into Sergeant Bryan Fahey anymore or anything. Just that's the end. Yep.
He's missing some details, but the video will just do justice.
That's it.
I'm surprised they even wrote that much. Usually they just get the main points, like boom, boom, boom. He did this, she did this.
I'll bring it back to you if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. No problem.
Please stop me anytime if we need to, edit or make changes or anything like that. On 6/16/2023, at approximately 3 p.m., I went to the Connecticut State Police headquarters in Middletown, Connecticut, to file a FOIA request. While outside in the parking lot area reporting, I was approached by Trooper Kioy, number 854. She advised me that I was making people uncomfortable and asked me to leave. She was only asking, not ordering me to leave.
Hilarious.
She eventually advised me that it was okay to stay, and she went back inside. I felt that her demeanor was unprofessional toward me. So far, so good?
Yes.
I then walked to the front of the building and waited in line. The same trooper, Kioy, came to the door, opened it, passed over me, and asked the next male person waiting behind me if he needed assistance. I then advised her that I needed assistance with filing a
Next
FOIA
male
request.
person, bro.
At that time, I saw Sergeant Bryan Fahey inside the building in the lobby area. He waved at me. Sergeant Fahey then came to the door and asked the man behind me if he needed assistance. The man then skipped ahead of me and entered the building. Excuse me. So far, so good.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to just break it up into
Yep.
section here for the sake of flow here. Sergeant Fahey told me I had no business there and proceeded to violently close the door on me. My foot and leg were still in the door, preventing it from closing. I was not injured, but it did hurt. I did not seek any medical treatment. I was recording this entire interaction. Sergeant Fahey then attempted to take possession of my camera, but was unsuccessful. I pulled away, and at some point during this, the camera was turned off. Good?
Yep.
Sergeant Fahey and I were then face to face. I told him that I was not scared of him and had interacted with him during a previous incident years ago that was worse than this. My biggest concern was for my safety at this point. Turning off my camera was not, I don't mean to yell, I just want to talk to make sure I can hear me over the yell.
No, I understand.
Turning off my camera was not only a violation of my First Amendment right, but also of the recently passed law regarding police accountability. Sergeant Fahey then closed the door, and he and Trooper Kioy were inside. Another trooper, who wouldn't identify himself, was standing behind me during this exchange. Eventually, the legal department became involved. Trooper Keogh let me inside the building. At that time, the legal affairs personnel provided me with an email address and instructions how to file the request. I also voiced my concerns with them regarding the previously noted matters. I also voiced my concerns with them regarding the previously noted matters. Sound good so far?
Yep.
Sergeant Fahey came out of the lobby again while I was taking some photos and videos of various memorabilia. He was upset that I hadn't left the building. Before Sergeant Fahey went into the stairwell, I told him, "You wouldn't have assaulted me without that gun and badge on." He came back out of the stairwell and said, "You wouldn't have done that without your camera." Sergeant Fahey then left. I approached Trooper Keogh with my concerns regarding being assaulted by Sergeant Fahey. She replied that there was a back and forth, and I quote, between he and I, and she wasn't going to do anything. I then left the building. Nothing follows. Correct?
Correct. Thank you.
All right. We're just about done. I know it's a lot, but I want to make sure that we're being thorough.
Oh, for sure.
In that video, if you could send that would be
Of course.
helpful. Let's see here.
Like, yo, can y'all tell me, is this protocol everywhere? Like,
Initials and signatures, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
do they always take like this long of a written like?
If you could just initial there, just because I crossed off that section, I want
Yeah.
to note that we were there together. At the end, yep, do that one too.
Over here?
That's
It's
fine,
just
yeah.
a cross out.
Okay.
Thank you. And at the end, just saying that's the end. And then if you would, I'll have you sign as the complaint. I'm just going to read this to you right here, this little disclaimer. I have read or had read to me the attached complaint and statement consisting of, I think we have 2 pages. Excuse me, I'm going to borrow that for 1 second. Consisting of 2 pages. All of the answers are true and accurate to my knowledge. I understand that any false statement herein, which I do not believe to be true, and which is intended to mislead a public servant in the performance of his or her official function, is a crime punishable by fine and/or imprisonment. I'm assuming that is accurate and you understand and agree to that. If you would sign there, please, just swearing that it's true and accurate. And today is the 28th of June.
Thank you. 28th?
28th, yeah.
Like, is this protocol everywhere? It's taking that long of a statement?
Thank you.
Don't they usually record it, or a little bit of both, or? I'm not too familiar with it. If y'all can give some intel on that, because like the video would have just done justice. Like, I get they have to take a statement, but like, I guess it's not that long. You know, probably took them like half an hour max, but still.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, if you could send us that video, I really appreciate it.
I will.
I appreciate you coming down and taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, just when you open up the investigation, you'll let me know when it's completed.
Yeah, we'll let you know when it starts and when it's completed.
Okay.
And I'm sure someone will be in contact with it during the investigation as well. It's not going to be like, you know, you hear from us at the beginning and you hear from us a couple months
Okay.
later. That's it. There will be someone reaching out to you for sure.
Okay, yeah, just because I would definitely love to know when it's completed and the findings, because I really hope that this office holds Sergeant Bryan Fahey accountable in at least some way, because last time he wasn't, and I truly believe that's why this event occurred again.
Okay.
Because he wasn't held accountable the first time for
Exactly.
his
Like, why would he
actions.
stop
I can't
doing
really
what he's
comment on that
doing?
one. I don't know anything about it, but I'll
I'm
pass
just-
that along to you.
Yeah, just thought I'd let you know since you're investigating it. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Take care.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys stay safe, okay? Take care. All right, guys, so we're just going to be getting out of the Office of Professional Standards.
All right, man, that's gonna do it, man. It's been a 30-minute video, and you know, it wasn't the most exciting video, but at least it was a follow-up to see, you know, how the process goes and everything. And it's actually nice to see, you know, the follow-up, because like I said earlier, most people, they just record, they have problems, but they just move on, you know, or they'll come back later and not file anything, which, you know, it does take time. People have lives, I get it, but that's why I like Long Island Audit, man. Hey, shout out Sean Paul, aka LIA, man. Go subscribe to his channel down below. I'll leave a link for that. I'll leave a link for the original video so you guys can watch without any interruptions. If you guys want to skip ahead, all that, I always leave the original videos down below in the description. Comment down below what you guys want to see next. I'll be reacting to a few other First Amendment artists. I'll be doing some sports, some basketball, you know, everything, music, anything you can think of. Comment down below. I'll be reacting to that. But it's been the Kid Schmitty. I'm out of this, John. You dig.